You know, I wanted to do some guitar videos, but I'm suffering from the Simpsons syndrome. Simpsons did it. It seems a lot of people have done a lot of videos out on YouTube, and I'm late to the game. And even my intonation video. But one thing I didn't notice is this thing about, you know, rock and roll. I remember when I first started playing guitar, when I was a little chilly, there wasn't tablature back then. I started playing in 1980, okay, and I was in guitar class, and like every other Eddie Van Halen fan, I wanted to play like him, and I had just started playing. And I was on an acoustic, and I signed up for guitar class in 7th grade, right? And I had bought myself a Van Halen songbook, right? And it had the sheet music. About as useful as a dead cat. Yes, it had the chords. Yes, it had the lyrics. And then what? And I realized something about rock and roll. Rock and roll is pretty simple. Most of it. Yeah, you got bands like Rush and progressive rock bands, and then there's Malmsteen. But for the most part, some of the greatest rock and roll hits and licks and melodies are really quite simple. Case in point, this one, you know. It's 4 fucking notes. I've been hauling ass along, you know. Lord, I miss you. It's the rest of the song, it's the style, it's the groove, it's the sound, all of it together. Rock and roll is simple. You take something simple and you play the fuck out of it. That's how you sound good. Simple, and you play the fuck out of it. So there I am with my Van Halen songbook, and I take it up to my guitar instructor, and I opened it up to Mean Streets, and I go, how do I do this? And she starts looking at it. She goes, well, those are 8th notes and this, that, the other. And I was like, really? This notes? I couldn't read sheet music. I could barely still read it, you know, before tablature. And it was the, you know. Okay, you put that on sheet music, and it's like da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's not the same. Tablature had not been invented, and had to be invented for all the other shit you can do in guitar, right? Like right there, something very important is the palm muting. You know, where you play that without palm muting, it's not going to sound the same. You got to do that chunky stuff that Halen does. Even that bend at the end, it's not really in time. It's like it speeds up and it slows down, right? When you're playing something, you squeeze the fucking juice out of it. That's what Halen, you know. You know, there's a speeding up and a slowing down, and it's not really in time, especially when he does his solos, you know. And I wanted to play like him, like every other little kid. And then it came a point, and then Malmsteen, I discovered Malmsteen, and I was like, fuck, I ain't never going to be able to do that. And I still can't fucking do that shit. Never did get the sweeps. So, what I wanted to do is maybe show a couple of tips and tricks on how to rock something, squeeze the fuck out of it. The most obvious thing is the pinch harmonics that you do with the pick and the fleshy part of your thumb. When you hit the note, you know, that's a note, or, right, remember, fuck that up, was it? There's a part in there, very famous pinch. You're pinching it with your thumb, okay? Now, the palm muting, when you're playing with distortion, okay, you got to have control. I was never a big fan of the noisy Hendrix stuff, all out of tune, making a bunch of noise. Yes, it was progressive at that time, progressive. But when you're playing with distortion, you got to maintain your control. You can't do the feedback. But the other thing is, you can't just hit notes and let them ring and have them open. You got to control when you sound and don't sound the notes. Any rhythm you play, a lot of times you play and you cut off hitting the note. When you're playing with a band and you're playing when they hit that snare, it's very common in rock and roll that you hit with one drum and stop with the next, you know? See, you don't just, not the same. And even the most classic of all classic songs, Brace Yourself, Smoke on the Water, if you play it just, yeah, it's close, but there's also like a pop to the way he plays it, you know, and he stops it. Wow. Just strumming them. So, how do you do that? Lots of practice. You'll get your own style. On the sheet music, it'll be one way, and how you make it sound is rock and roll. You look at any sheet music for rock and roll, they're going to be some basic stuff, greatest songs out there, usually GCD, a lot of them, you know, all the Mother and GCD. Okay? So, let's talk about chunky stuff. The right hand, that chunky part, put that shit right there on the bridge. And when you palm mute those, and you hit the pick attack, you get that chunk, what they call the staccato, you know? Might as well fuck, you know. That one doesn't have it too much, right? Halen does a lot of staccato. As a matter of fact, I'm using one of his amps there because it's called a one-trick pony, because it's really good at that really compressed, tight, focused rock sound. You try to do that without the gain and without that compression, it's not going to sound the same, you know? I don't know how good it sounds through this, but it has the timbre of the note, but it also has that crisp attack at the top where you can hear the pick. See? Chaka, chaka, chaka. You can only get that high gain with a tight focused amps. 5150s are really good at that. What else? Okay, I just noticed I stuck in there an example, didn't explain it. The Sweet Dreams are made of this. Remember, they redid that one? And if you play it straight up the way they do it, it would be... Okay, I got into the habit of playing it, double tapping it, right? Each one, and chunky riff, right? So it's more like a couple of things I added in there, just grooving with that thing. Watch, I'll play it slow. Let me move this over here. Watch this. So it's not all double tapped, and it's got that dun dun, you know, just to add to the forcefulness of the beat. Watch. So instead of playing, I double tapped it, and when I'm hitting the other notes, I hit them once and go back. When you have a root like that you're hitting steadily, it's called pedaling, you know. Excuse me. So, see? Alternate back and forth. It's actually, you know, if you haven't gotten to alternate picking yet, it might seem a little tricky, but it's a good thing to get your alternate picking going. Ha! Okay. You notice a couple of those notes I actually pull them off because it's more efficient. Like barred back here. See, it's a pull off. Sounds normal though. And it's got that to give it more oomph, like I said. So. Another thing about rock, you hit that last one, it squeezes. See? Anyway. Okay, reviewing that, I thought, while I was talking about the pedaling, another song that is all about how it's played, Stevie Nicks, Edge of 17, can't be simpler, and it's all about that chunky, muffled, and the way he puts the groove into it. I mean, playing it normally, it would be... Same notes. Does it sound right? No. Okay. Again, with the tight focus distortion, you chunk it, and it's also got an emphasis on the beat. The way you play it, he's not picking it consistently. It's got the same time, but not the same chunk. So... Get the point, repeat as necessary. So, I thought I'd put that in there. That is one. Now, as far as the alternate picking on the other one, I thought of a good example, something good to practice if you want something for alternate picking. It's an old Sabbath riff from... when the song starts rocking, that's a good alternate picking thing to practice, right? So obviously I need some practice. So here it is slowly. So I'm noticing it's a little blurry. Let me go even slower. That's not it. Okay, it ends on the E. Sorry. But when you do it and you chunk it, it's got a nice groove to it, you know? Got it? Okay. Sorry for the mistake. Okay, so, you know, the bottom line is that in rock there's a lot more than just the notes. It's how you play something. You know, the style, the tone, you know, your own personal style will develop, and the timing and the groove and everything. And I'm going to play a very famous melody, but with a totally different groove, style, tone, everything. And see if you can spot it. It's a very famous melody. Check it out. You notice what that is? You want to pause and think? Okay, did you figure it out yet? Okay, here it is normally. Alternate.